All right, everybody, welcome to the Millennial Trucker podcast. Hit it. I am your host, Luke, and as always, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a great time. I hope you're having a great life. And if you're not having a great time or have a great life or a great day, then just give it a little bit of time. Day, month, week, year. The pendulum always swings, my friend. The pendulum always swings. Now, today, we're going to get into flatbedding. This is particularly my favorite type of trucking, and it's flatbedding is more commonly known on the road as as not skateboarding, but flatbedders are referred to as a skateboard. So if you're on the road, you have a CB, and if you want to get this skateboard's attention, you say, "How about your skateboard? You got your ears on? Come on." Typically, flatbedders have their CBs on because you never know. Sometimes you might not be paying attention to the load, or like you glance away or whatever, and something might have fallen off your load, and you need to be aware of it. So if somebody's trying to get your attention, it's best to know what's going on with other eyes on the road looking at your load, because as a flatbedder, you're constantly looking at your load because it's open air. It's open air. It's not like an enclosed trailer. It's a little different. So I'm going to get into the top 5 reasons not to get into flatbedding. So let's get on to it. Number 5, tarping and chaining takes time. Now, especially if you're new, tarping's going to take a while just because you're still getting into the groove of things. You're still like trying to figure it out. It's like it's a lot of figuring out things or securing your load, your tarp especially, because you need to make sure that it's air, like however the air hits it, that it's not getting into certain pockets and kind of like getting under your tarp, to where eventually, especially if you're going 70 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour, like if air is getting under your tarp for whatever reason, then it's going to tear up that tarp. That air will do that. And those tarps are kind of expensive. You can't be spending, $300, $400, $500, $600 a pop for these tarps. It's not sustainable. So you have to make sure that you have that you figure that out. That you figure out how to tarp and how to chain too. Because especially when you start chaining, if you're not used to it, chaining down these coils can take time. So it will eat up your time today. If it doesn't eat up your e-log time, then it's just going to eat up your time in general, because you still need sleep. So if you're spending 8, or not 8 hours, but like let's say 3 hours tarping a load or chaining a difficult load, that's just time. That's just time out of your day. That's time out of your sleep schedule or to eat or whatever. So just be aware of that it's going to take time. Number four, it's a dirty job. You're gonna get dirty. These rusty chains. Gotta break my rusty chain. These chains are dirty. And sometimes you go into places like where you'll get some super sacks. Super sacks are just what it sounds like, just giant bags of whatever. And I picked up once. The dirtiest I've ever been with flatbedding was I was pretty much covered head to toe in charcoal. I went into like a coal mine, and I picked up a flatbed load of super sacks of charcoal I delivered it to a farm, and what the farmer told me is that it helps loosen up the soil or whatever. But when I picked it up and I was strapping it down and all that, the charcoal would just plume up. And after I got done with that load, oh my goodness, I was just covered head to toe. I looked like a coal miner. So that was pretty dirty. Oh, and you'll pick up railroad ties, and those things have creosote. And creosote does stain the shirt. It does ruin your shirt. So you always have to have spare shirts, or shirts that you really don't care about to do the job. Just raggedy shirts, because like I said, it's a dirty job. So if you're not into that, then you probably shouldn't get into flatbedding, because that's a lot of flatbedding. Number 3, backing up or doing U-turns will destroy your trailer tires. These skateboards are spread axle. They're not together like regular trailers. They're spread axle. So when you when you do like a 45-degree backup, or like especially a U-turn, like it makes me cringe when I see a flatbed do a. And sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes there's no other way. Sometimes you have to, in order to turn around, you have to make a sharp U-turn. And what happens is that your back trailer tire, it's doing the pivoting, but your inner axle, trailer axle, it's just going side. So your tires are just dragging sideways. And if you're in a flatbed, you're typically going to have recap tires on those. So that's even worse, just because it's like it's just hard on tires to do that. Not consistently, but if you do it enough times and it doesn't take much, then you will weaken those tires, those recaps. Number two, night driving increases paranoia. You can't see your load. And that's what I was talking about earlier. It's like we're constantly looking at the load to make sure everything's secure and make sure the tarp's not flip-flopping around. And at night, you can't see that stuff. And if you see your tarp flopping around, then it's probably too late at that point, because it's probably torn up. But number one, and the number one reason not to get into flatbedding, it's dangerous. There's more ways to die. There's way more ways to die with flatbedding. I'm not saying it's the most dangerous, but it does increase the danger factor, because I know some states require that you have a formal training or an endorsement to haul steel coils. And what steel coils are just, imagine a toilet paper roll, but instead of paper, it's steel. It's rolled steel, like flat steel, just rolled into a paper toilet paper roll like formation. But the reason why that's dangerous is because it could fall off. It can fall off your trailer, especially if you do a hard brake. Let's say if you have a brake check, your chains could snap if it's not secure enough. So you have to make sure like all of that's secure, and before, or even just flat pieces of steel. You know, I've seen videos of just people getting wrecked, absolutely wrecked, because they hit the brakes. They didn't have their load secure, or you know, these flat pieces like concrete. You know, when they build a new Walmart or a new big box store, they usually you know, they don't build those those giant walls like on site. Oh, this is all precast. So you pick it up from their precast place, and they come in just like big flat pieces of rectangular concrete. You don't want that stuff hitting your cab or your truck. If you hit that brake, you don't want that sliding and hitting you, because it's good night from there. So more ways to die, very dangerous. But if you're fine with that, then okay. Next video, I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons to get into flatbedding. So look forward to that. By the way, I set up my the RSS feed for the Millennial Trucker podcast, and it's going to be truly podcast only. So I got to have these vlogs separate from the RSS feed for the podcast. So subscribe to that, please. And I don't know if I have any other announcements, but that was a big thing. You know, I've been busy doing that. It's a bigger pain in the butt to set that up than it is a YouTube channel. So I would appreciate. I'll put the link, the RSS feed, in the description. If you listen to a podcast on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, I'm working on getting all that approved. You know, all these platforms, they require submissions to have it listed on their platform. So I know a lot of people listen on Spotify or your Apple users listen to podcast on the podcast app. But yeah, that's all the announcements I have for today. I hope you have a beautiful day. We'll catch you on the flip flop. Come on.